Welcome to episode 30 of the Ride and Inspire Rawcast. I'm Roxy, and today I'm not on a walk. I'm in my office again because I want to share something that happened yesterday. I was racing yesterday, and I want to share some of the life lessons, seriously life lessons I learned from racing. And I didn't want to go out on a walk because I don't have much time, so I wanted to talk to you about this in my lunch break. As I said, I raced yesterday. It was a hobby race, and there was an e-bike category and a non-e-bike category. And in the e-bike category, there were about 60 people racing, out of which 3 were women and the other were men. And I wanted to race because, for one thing, I want to show the world that we need more women on bikes. So during these races, I always want to show presence to really make people aware that, yes, women can be fast. And I placed 15 out of 60 guys and first out of the 3 ladies. So I just wanted to show the world that we are also here. We women can really shred and show people that women also have a place in this sport, because, to be honest, I think there are just not enough ladies out there on the trails, and in these hobby races it's all about having fun together. So this is a marcha, it's called in Spanish, which is basically about having a good day out on the trails, enjoying the trails. And of course, yes, it is timed, so you will get on the podium or not, but the focus of the whole event is fun. And that's why I learned a few life lessons that I want to share with you, because they inspired me and changed my mindset quite a lot. And these are the thoughts that I wanted to share with you because I believe that you will profit from them. So the first main, let's call it, topic that followed me through the day, so that was very present throughout the entire day and also still is today, is the importance of focus. Focus, in my opinion, is the only superpower you need, and it's one of the hardest things to maintain. To keep our focus on the things, both on and off the bike, is basically the amplifier of quality. So if I can focus on my goal, if I can focus on the steps at hand that I need to reach my goal, that's when I will reach my goal. But nowadays we get distracted so easily, and people have such a hard time concentrating, focusing on one thing, that procrastination really takes over and that people get distracted too easily. And I will notice this also myself, that I tend to get distracted because we have so many possibilities nowadays. And that's what I noticed in the race yesterday, that focus really is the key. It's the solution to much more than you may think and expect. And when it comes to mountain biking, it's actually often the difference between crashing and not crashing. So I almost crashed twice in that race yesterday. Almost. It was very close. I didn't, but almost. And both of these times I was focusing on something else than the current moment. So I was not in the now. I was somewhere else with my thoughts. One was, the first situation was that this lady called my name next to the trail and started talking to me, and I was with her in my thoughts, and then in the stupid uphill section I just kind of steered too hard and almost went over my handlebar like a beginner. It was hilarious in this uphill section. So that was the first situation. And the second was, there was this guy who literally punched Bernie. Well, he stuck out his elbow and he tried to punch him off the trail, and he really went against my handlebar and tried to push me off the trail twice, because he literally said, yeah, I'm not going to be riding behind a woman. So this was also some kind of misogyny thing. And he didn't like that I overtook him because he wasn't the best rider. So that thought was with me, and I was like, oh, I need to talk about this in my podcast, and what a stupid guy that he pushed me and how dangerous that was. So in my thoughts I was with him, thinking of how dangerous his maneuver was and how unnecessary this was. I mean, after all, it was a hobby race. And that's when I almost crashed, because I wasn't in the now. So again, back to the topic, I lost my trail focus because I was focusing on my anger, focusing on the possible motivations of this guy, focusing on the podcast, and not focusing on that moment, on where I should be with my focus right now. So And this is something that I notice a lot with my clients, when they crash, often they were distracted or they couldn't concentrate anymore. So that's something that I really want to pass on to you today. If you notice that you can't concentrate anymore, take a break. You are out there mountain biking, and focus is such a valuable currency you have, and we don't have unlimited focus. So when we notice that we're distracted, then choose easy trails. When you notice that you can't concentrate anymore because maybe you had a hard day at work, slow down, take an easy trail. Or when you notice that your concentration, your focus is not there where it should be, then bring it back to where you want to focus on. And if you notice that you can't do that, take a break. So really listen to yourself, because focus is the key to riding at your best and to injury prevention. The next thing that I noticed is it was a hobby race, as I said. Let's face it, for most of us hobby racers, the race result is not going to be absolutely life-altering. We're not going to lose sponsors. We're not going to be the most popular person in our entire friendship. Or if that really, let me put it like this, if the race really gives you new friends and they only value you because of the race result, are these really the friends that you want to be with, So the race result is not going to be life-altering like it would possibly be for someone who does this for a living. So the question is, why risk your safety, perhaps even your life? Mountain biking can be dangerous, and the safety of another person by focusing on the result rather than focusing on a fun day out. Now, don't get me wrong. It is okay to be ambitious. It is absolutely healthy to be ambitious about race results and to take it as a motivation to train towards a goal. Absolutely. But not if you're taking unnatural risks and if you are risking other people's safety. And that's what this one guy did that gave Bernie the elbow, and that pushed me off the trail. And I want to tell you a story that when we came to the finish line, and we then noticed that this guy who pushed us off the trail, he won in his category. I think it was Masters 50 e-bike or something. And there was another guy, he was sitting opposite of us, and we were having paella together. And he said, I'm over 70 now, and I have been riding in these marchas all my life, because this marcha, which is the race, has been taking place for over 20 years. And he said, I've been riding and racing in this matcha for 20 years now, and until 2 years ago I was always riding in the normal bike category, and I had a heart attack, and now I'm riding in the e-bike category. And for me, this day was just about getting out again and being able to ride, because the e-bike opens up the possibility for me again to ride. And I had thought when I had that heart attack that I couldn't ride anymore. So for me, this day is about celebrating my health again, celebrating my happiness, being in the moment with my friends, enjoying this day out, and I don't care what place I make. And then up there on the podium was that guy, the 50-plus guy, who had given Bernie the elbow. And I was like, okay, honestly, I have more respect, much more respect for this guy sitting opposite of me, telling me that now he's able to ride through the e-bike, and he maintained his focus on his goal, which is have a good day, and he really had a good day. And he also let go of his judgment of the e-bike, because he also said that before he didn't like e-bikes. So now he starts to accept e-bikes and thinks they're okay, because now he can enjoy the sport again. This guy, I had so much more respect for him than I had for that guy on the podium. So I think we should always start to reduce it, or get back to reduce it to what mountain biking really is about for most of us. It's about having fun. It's about being able to ride. It's about mental health. It's about getting out there and enjoying nature. Yes, it can also be about the ambitious goals we have, but only as long as they do us good, only as long as they motivate us to really find what matters to us, and only as long as they don't risk us and others in unnatural ways. And the third thing that I thought about not during the race, because I was trying to focus on, but that's popped up during the race. And then again, I was back to focus, Roxy. But that I've been thinking about since the race, and that I want to talk to you about, is the elusive flow state. I'm sure you've heard about it, that the flow state is that magic moment when you're just in the now, you're fully focused, and you're performing absolutely in flow. So you don't have any other thoughts coming in your mind, and you are absolutely in the moment, and you can perform at your absolute peak. And also time will just flow past. You don't have that feeling for time. So the flow state that a lot of people talk about can only be accomplished if we focus on the now, and if we're not in completely above our heads. So if the demands of the trail at hand, or the demands of whatever we're doing, is not way above our level. Actually, science says that the task at hand needs to be about 2% above our momentary skill level. So just at that verge, just at the limit. And then we can experience flow state, because we need to be in control to experience flow. As soon as we are fearful or we have that adrenaline rush, then our brain cannot have that cocktail of neurotransmitters that make flow state possible. And that's why it's also important that if you want to be in that flow state on technical trails or even in a race, it's essential that you practice your skills before you start racing or before you start riding super technical trails. Because if you want to be in control, and if you want to have that level of, let's say, 2% above your momentary skill level, you need to have a high level of skills in order to ride technical trails in the flow state. And that's something that I really noticed, that how many people there were in that adrenaline rush. And then many people, they mistake that adrenaline rush for the flow state, and then they get addicted to that adrenaline rush, which also comes with cortisol and stress hormones. And then it doesn't really bring them down from their daily stress level, which is actually why they're doing mountain biking, but it actually adds to their stress level. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you about this. If you want to get into that flow state, if you want to feel absolutely at peace and ride in control, then you need to be practicing your skills to be able to ride technical trails in that flow state, or even race in the flow state. If you say you want to experience flow state, and for you it's okay not to ride technical trails, of course, then you don't need to practice skills. But if you want to ride technical trails or races in the flow state, you need to be practicing specifically your technical abilities in order to not get in completely above your head. The next point was that I noticed when you ride at your physical and at your mental limit, then yes, you will commit errors. So during a race, you will most probably commit some errors unless you're not at your limit. And straight after you notice this error, again, focus is the solution. You need to focus on giving your best for the next move and not beat yourself up for the last. That's what I did. I committed so many errors yesterday. And then I was like, okay, the next second counts. The next second counts. And this brought me back into the now, focus on the now. And then I didn't beat myself up for the stupidities that I committed, because then my mood and my performance would have dropped massively. And this is what I notice a lot, especially when I'm working with clients that have depressions or that have a very low self-confidence, that they will dwell on their mistakes. They will always, when they come back after a ride, and let's say 90% of the ride was good, they will focus on those 10% that did not go well. Said, yeah, but I didn't ride this section, or yeah, but I crashed there. Yeah, but I rode that section faster the last time. So they will focus on the things that didn't go well, and this, of course, will then cause them to not feel good about the ride, although 90% of the ride went well. So for you, this really, I want to give you this thought that during a race or during a physical and mental limit, if something goes wrong, refocus on the next move and really swipe that bad experience off of your mind for now. You can always reflect on it later in a constructive way, but don't dwell on your mistakes, because it's not going to improve performance. It's not going to improve your mood. To the contrast, it's actually going to make it worse. And that's something, again, related to the topic focus that I really wanted to talk to you about. So I would love to know, have you experienced how focus affects your performance and also your mood? And what kind of tactics do you use? Do share it with me below the podcast on YouTube in the comments. I would love to know. And also, I have a quote for you from James Clear. And I'm going to read it to you because this quote really resonated with me, and also in both for the practicing skills that I always want to bring into the world, that I really want to create an awareness for practice culture versus that crash culture that we have at the moment, because practice brings progress and we really need to be able to acknowledge the fact that we need to start at some point. And many of my listeners and watchers are 60 plus, 70 plus. And often I hear them say, I don't want to make a fool of myself. And this is the quote that I want to read to you. In many cases, you'll find the only thing preventing you from learning is your ego. No one enjoys feeling foolish, but attempting something new requires that you climb down from your perch and struggle as a beginner. You must ask questions that reveal your ignorance or attempt skills that make you look uncoordinated. Learning demands the willingness to live in a brief state of discomfort. You must believe that looking like a fool for an hour will not ruin your reputation for life. So when you think you're too old to do something, then remember that you will never be as young as you are right now. So this quote really resonated with me. And also when it comes to racing or riding at your limit or just expanding your momentary comfort zone, this quote says so much. So I wanted to share it in my podcast. Another short thing that I want to touch on is the way we talk to ourselves, because we are in our heads all day and we're talking to ourselves all day. And that's what I noticed, especially during the race, because after an initial start, then I was alone for most of the race, although it was a mass start race. But since I was quite at the front, I was alone for most of the race. So I was always listening to myself in my head. And there's like a simple rule that I want to share with you that really helps me and also helps most of my clients when we talk about self-talk. And that is the way you talk to yourself. So basically, 3 traits, that is confidence, persistence, and patience, is what we need for most skills. Whatever we want to learn in life, it's confidence, persistence, and patience that we need to really be able to build the skills and also to use the skills once we have them. And so if you need confidence, then talk to yourself like you talk to a friend. That has really helped me. Often when we get, as I said, hung up on our mistakes, we will talk to ourselves in a very diminishing way. Those are the things that we would never say to a friend. So I always remind myself, okay, I need confidence. How would I tell whatever I'm talking about to a friend? How would I talk to a friend? So if you need confidence, talk to yourself like you talk to a friend. The next one, as I said, is persistence. So if you need persistence, happened to me during the race again yesterday. I was like, I can't do this anymore, I'm giving up. If you need that persistence, talk to yourself the way you talk to a student. I'm sure you've had a student. We all coach someone in life. Even if we don't think so, you have had a student in your life. Then talk to yourself like you would talk to a student. So I said to myself, okay, slow down a bit now, refocus. What is this about? Enjoy the moment. You can slow down. It's not about the best time. It's about having a good day. And then I was able to refocus and have a good day. And the next one, as I said, is patience. And that is, in a race, you will probably not need patience, but when I'm working with my clients to prepare them for races, they need patience. And then I always like to say, if you need patience, then talk to yourself the way you talk to a child, because children are often very impatient. Is that impatient, impatient? I don't know. So they don't have a lot of patience. So confidence, talk to yourself like you talk to a friend. Persistence, talk to yourself like you talk to a student. And patience, talk to yourself the way you talk to a child. And that will really help, because as I said, you need to be patient and you need to have that willingness to live in that brief state of discomfort if you want to learn something new. It's essential. Often when I go out mountain biking, I will ask myself, is this contributing to my happiness? Am I really doing something that contributes to my happiness? Because often a lot of mountain bikers out there, they are stressing themselves even more, and I do that sometimes to myself as well. And then I ask myself, is this truly contributing to my happiness, or am I just distracting myself from my unhappiness? It's a huge difference. Contributing to happiness versus distracting myself from my unhappiness, because sometimes we try to numb our feelings down by going over our limit, by having that adrenaline rush, and then we distract ourselves from our unhappiness, but that doesn't necessarily make us happy. But when I ask myself, okay, am I doing this and is this contributing to my happiness? That's when I start to do things that do myself good versus just distract myself from stuff that doesn't make me feel happy. So that's all I've got for you today, dear mountain bikers. Let me know how you liked this episode by commenting below this video on YouTube, and please rate my podcast wherever you're listening to it. If you'd like to support it, my podcast is not sponsored. You can become a patron or buy me a coffee. The links are below. Thank you so much for listening. Sending you much love from Spain. I'm Roxy.